Let's turn a blank piece of fabric into a piece of art, which we can then use for making the cover for our Poppyfield Avenue junk journal. Hi, this is Luise Heinzl, and today I have a special plan. I want to become a fabric designer. And I just had a pretty crazy idea. And now I'm wondering if that can work. So we will find that out together. What we are going to need is a piece of fabric. I have chosen this here. This is way more than I will need for making the cover of my journal later. But I thought then we have more possibilities. So these are the signatures of my Poppyfield Avenue junk journal. And I have measured this whole thing very eyeballing-ish. Yeah, so I have just put this here, left a ton here on the top and the bottom. My spine is approximately 3 inch. This is more than 3 inch. And then I've put it here and just torn it off so that I'm sure that I have enough, that I have way more than I need, because then I can use the leftovers later for making, for example, some additional pockets or page tabs, little things that peek out from the journal and so on. And even if I come to the idea that I don't want to do that and that I don't need that, then I have some cool fabric collage fodder for later. Then I want to take some acrylic plates. These are the grid blocks by Tim Holtz, and holy moly, some acrylic paint and a brayer, because I thought, wouldn't it be cool if we could stamp some envelopes on here? I have absolutely no idea if that will work, because I have never done that before. Wait, I need something else. Let's take this thing here just to protect the rest of the fabric. I think that is a good idea. I have never done that before, but it should be possible. I'm going to take the flat surface here on the other side. There's this stuff here. Could perhaps also look good, but I think for the first try I want to do it with the smooth side. Then I'm going to take a little bit of old paper distress paint. I'm hoping that it will show up here enough, because what I want to do is I want to bring the shape of this plate to my fabric, like a little print, because I'm thinking that looks like an envelope. I think I will mist this. Oh, this is my clogged bottle. I'm sorry. Mist this with a little bit of water, hoping that it gives something nice. And then I'm going to start here in the corner. And oh, now it's wonky. Oh no. Oh no. Press this down. Hopefully this color is, you know, visible on this fabric. But let's see. Oh yes. Oh yes. Oh yeah. Oh my goodness. I don't know if you can see that so well, but these water drops, they transferred very well. I'm just thinking, oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Okay. This is the craziest part of being a YouTuber. I have thought about, I mean, I'm not even 5 minutes in the video. I'm so sorry. I have thought about this technique for, I think, 3 days or so. It went through my head from the left to the right and back and forth and so on. And now I thought, I'm ready to do this. But now I'm thinking, is there perhaps an even cooler way to do this, because this until now is obviously only a rectangle, isn't it? And I wanted to turn this into an envelope with stamping other things over this later, like postmarks and so on, and an address and that stuff. And now I'm thinking, is that perhaps possible in one step? What can happen? What can happen? Let's drink some junk journal medicine and let's try something. Let's take a stamp. We've used this here already in the journal. French Marketplace CMS 071 by Stampers Anonymous and Tim Holtz. And I think this here, a portion of this would be the perfect size. So let's try something. Let's take some archival ink. This is ground espresso. Let's imitate something like an address, yeah, on here. Like so. Let's then also take this little stamp here. But here I really don't want to have the word Paris on there, because my paper collection, Poppyfield Avenue, was inspired by the city London and not Paris. We had this discussion already. If you know, you know. Let's stamp this on here. If this works, I mean, that would be so cool. Give me my heat tool. And I know this is going to get reversed then. If it works, it will get reversed on the fabric. But to be honest, I don't care, because that is part of the whole thing. And if it would work, then I would be totally fine with this if it was reversed and completely abstract. That would be totally fine. I don't know if this can really fully dry on this. But let's see what we can get from this. So I'm making sure that my fabric is here in the correct position again. Now I'm going to take another color. This is pumice stone. I don't care if that gets mixed up with the other color here on my brayer. And now I'm trying to get this on here without smearing the stamp impression. I'm optimistic. I'm very optimistic. Oh my goodness, if this works, I'm freaking out. Where's this turning pink? Oh no. Okay. And now I'm hoping that the archival ink is going to transfer to the fabric as well. I have no idea if that will work. But if not, we have a rectangle in the color pumice stone, and we made another experience and found out that this experiment didn't work. But if it works, how long do I need to press on here now? No, but it looks, no, it didn't transfer. It didn't transfer, and that's perhaps because it got permanent on here. But what it did, wait, let me, I'm so sorry. Hopefully this is not too crazy for you. I will take you out from here so that you can See that better? Can you see? It did something. I don't know if you can really see that, but it looks a little bit like it was a resist or so in those areas where the postmark was here. Can you see that? And here it's also a little bit like a resist or so compared to that surface here. It looks way more interesting and way more aged and vintage somehow. So even if it didn't transfer, I mean, who cares? We have a really nice effect with that. What happens if I now take this off? And here's still, interestingly, a little bit of the stamping left. Can you see that? It's still somehow there. Wait. Okay, wait. What if... I mean... it would have transferred if that was water soluble, right? But then we couldn't put the distress paint over it because, I mean, if I would stamp with distress ink, for example, I would completely smear the stamp impression. But do you know what comes to my mind? What if we don't take an acrylic plate, but an envelope? On the one hand, we have something here where I am assuming that this is not waterproof. I don't know anything about this here, but what if we take this, then take an ink pad, the same stamp, stamp something on here, because this goes into the paper, right? It's not going to be permanent, obviously. If I would put water on here, it would smear or bleed. But what happens if I now, when I did this, take my paint and go over this? This is not a permanent ink, but perhaps we have the chance to bring the paint on here without smearing the ink, and perhaps we can then transfer this to the fabric. Does that make sense? Because now I can go over this without any problems. I have to probably be a little faster than on the acrylic plate, because this will dry faster on the paper. Let's try to put this here. And let's just find out what happens. A clean brayer. And if you're wondering what this is and what we are doing here, and what exactly my Poppyfield Avenue junk journal is, then please check out the playlist linked below this video. There you can find a ton of videos about this journal and how I came to this stage of my project. In the playlist you can also find a video which is called Paper Premiere Poppyfield Avenue. There you have seen already, no, there you can see an already bound journal. If you are not new here, then you have probably already seen that, but I'm saying that for the new people. Oh yeah, okay. There is a little bit, and somehow I have the feeling it has transferred the flap of the envelope and also this line, this here, from the brayering. Okay, I think that's not what I want. Yeah, oh no, that was too much. In the Paper Premiere you can see a bound journal made with my new paper collection called Poppyfield Avenue, which you can find in my shop. And if you're new to my channel, then you might wonder why we are now here and you know why you have seen the bound journal first. I did that on purpose so that you can get an idea about how a bound journal with the new paper collection can look, instead of just seeing loose papers on my table when I show you a new paper collection. In the past I have done that with, you know, shop update videos and so on, but I think it's easier and also a nicer thing to see when you see a bound journal first, if you want to decide if you want to have a new paper collection, which I have in my shop, or not. And then we are making a little time travel, and this is also part of this time travel, where I then show you steps, parts of my process of making the journal. So you have already seen the cover in the paper premiere. And perhaps you have also seen something with this, because this is now absolutely amazing. This looks really cool. I mean, we could even consider including this piece here in the cover, even if that was absolutely not my plan. And it's, to be honest, too dangerous. If you want to use something like paper on fabric, please make very, very sure, I mean, fabric you use then for making your cover, yeah? Make sure that you glue the paper pieces later, because if I would glue them now, this would probably get pretty stiff and I couldn't handle it so well anymore later when I put the fabric to the cover pieces. And I want to open my journal, and if I had something very stiff, that could be a problem. But I think I want to go on with my original plan with these plates here. Let's just do that, because this here and this, also with these wet areas, I really like that. And let's first stamp the whole fabric with the first layer of this. So meaning I will not let it overlap, because if I let it overlap, then I can't decide where, or I can't determine the stamping so well anymore. So that means the next one, I will line it up here, and there is a little gap, but that doesn't matter. But I will not let it overlap over this one. Well, no, I will not do that. Oh, oh no. It's not so visible there. Let's add, oh no. Let's add a little bit more to this block and just stamp over it again.
We used to meet at 9 p.m. down by the stationery nook. Just the two of us, graffiti marks and streetlight ghosts. A hug, a kiss, that charming misprinted book. 'Cause that was the one you loved the most. You tear out a page, then read a line or two. Your secret letters, hidden chapters I was longing for. You folded it and smiled. I love those words and you. And today, there's nothing I miss more. Send me letters from Poppyfield Avenue. Time-worn secrets, telling tales we knew were true.
Okay, so this is completely dry now. And now I want to go on with archival ink and stamping. And I want to stamp first with this portion here again from the French marketplace CMS 071. And I want that on each of these envelopes is now a little bit of something. Not too much, not too extreme, but, you know, so that it's there. I don't want this to be too much in the foreground, but I want that this looks like envelopes, where something handwritten is on. Oh my goodness, that is cool. It comes out way more concrete on the fabric than I actually thought, and that is, I guess, because of the acrylic paint. That looks absolutely cool. Wonderful. I have taken out different script stamps. This is Entomology CMS 328. If you, for example, have like a postage stamp, no, not that, postcard stamp set, you know, you could do that as well and turn these into postcards. That would also be a possibility, or something similar which fits the theme. But with, for example, French Garden CMS 487 and the anderen. That is German. The others I want to use in a second. You can easily imitate something like a letter, because we don't care, at least I do not care, what this exactly says, because this is pretty abstract and, you know, it's like a background for our fabric. So this is etc. CMS 302. Another set which would work very well is this Ledger Script CMS 241. From the Field Notes set CMS 396, we can also use this here. So this is our first layer now. And then I want to take a little bit of the darkest color I have here, which is in my case frayed burlap. Let's see if that is dark enough for all of this. I will mix this with a lot of water. Then I'm going to take a paintbrush, and now I want to try to give these letters something like a shaded outline, so that it looks in the end really dimensional somehow, but still like a print.
Wrapped in coffee and cinnamon air, the ceremonies we used to share, every line a whisper, a memory to renew. Send them to me, your letters from poppy field.
Okay, so I'm pretty satisfied with this result. I will again take my heat tool and dry this. And then when this is dry, I'm going to take my acrylic block here again to... Oh, I need to take my new bottle of this paint. It's nearly empty. Because now I want to print over this again. And with this layer of the printing, I want to get rid of these gaps in between of the letters, and I want that it looks like there were many letters on top of each other. So I will now let them overlap, similar to this here. At least that's the plan.
Poppyfield Avenue, time-worn secrets, telling tales we knew were true. Wrapped in coffee and cinnamon air, the ceremonies we used to share.
Okay, so this is completely dry. And the next step, it came to my mind when I was in my mushroom a second ago. And then I decided that the next step requires this here. And if Daniel Evans, by coincidence, is watching, I still have some left over to drive you crazy. So this time, live on camera, I thought, sorry, that's a little insider joke, because he likes these very much. And I'm really wondering why this is so small in there. I have absolutely no idea what happened to this white stuff there. But that's obviously how these look when you have to order them on Amazon, because they are not available here. When I was looking at this, I thought it would be really cool if these top layer envelopes would pop out a little more. And then I thought, since this here is translucent, so yeah, what we did here with the stamping, in most of the areas it's translucent. Why? Because we've added a lot of water to create these cool effects. I'm totally fine with that. But if I now would stamp on these as well, that would probably make the whole thing totally confusing. And then I thought, shall we add a shadow around these here now, so that they pop out more? And then, while I was in my mushroom, I thought, why don't we try something? And I have absolutely no idea if that will work, but we will try it out, because if we don't try it, we will not know if it could have worked. I am going to take a piece of this letter. This is handwritten. I don't know if that makes a difference, but what I know is that I'm going to take my gel medium here, and I will do this here on the edge of the fabric first, because if it turns out as a fail, then we can use that piece of fabric for something else, and I have still enough left for my cover. I want to put just a little bit of that to a little area of the envelope, perhaps like this, and then I want to put this on here. And I think in the beginning of the video I said it's probably not such a good idea to glue paper to the fabric now, because it could make it very stiff. But with this method we get, hopefully, if this works, then we get a really thin layer which nearly feels like the fabric itself, which shouldn't give us any problems when we glue this to the cover later. And then I'm going to tear it off. I want to get rid of the top layer of the paper so that it's really thin. Here it even transferred completely to the fabric. I'm wondering if I can do that a little more smart. Let's soak this with water. And let's do this in exactly the same way like we did it with our advertising column effect in the journal. Oh, yes. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness, this works. Okay. That is absolutely fantastic. This makes this very thin, because we can transfer this to the gel medium now. And with this, that we know this now, we can do it even better than it is here, so that we see more of the more of the letter itself. I'm going to take this and I follow this shape here. You can probably not see it because I can also not see it. Where is it? I think it's somehow here. This rectangle is very light. I mean, we could even do this pretty randomly now. Wait, what will transfer? This will transfer, right? So we will not see this. You know, here is nothing, no writing. I will quickly glue more pieces of this on the fabric. So then we are going to dry this again. So this is completely dry now. And first I'm going to remove these little pieces, which are, you know, not glued down, because we can still use those as collage fodder. And then I'm going to take my water. I think I will even let this sit for about 5 minutes or so that the water can soak into the paper. Okay, so it's approximately 5 minutes later. So that we have, where's the writing now? Oh, there we go. And what the heck is happening here? Why is this so different now? Oh no. Why is this so different now? What the heck? And why? Why does this feel so slimy? I have the feeling that I now have removed the complete thing. Oh no. Oh no. Why is this happening? I think I'm going to freak out in a second. Is it possible that now, because I've let it soak in, that the collage medium or the gel medium is getting removed? Was that too much water? And yeah, obviously, look. Can you see that here? The collage medium is coming, the gel medium is coming off. Oh no. Okay. That does mean I will dry it again, hoping that it will stick. Don't do that. Don't wait. Do it like I did it here, because here it worked. What the heck? Okay, so it's dry again. Please wish me luck. Here I've re-glued this thing. Let's try it again. And let's immediately after applying the water start to remove this. This reacts totally different than over here. It's coming off completely. Why the heck? I mean, why? Why did it work here? Okay. Oh. This is frustrating. This is really frustrating. Just don't do that, okay? But on the other hand, if we could manage to get it as thin as it is here now, I think that could then work. And now you could say, well, why haven't you just taken a stamp to stamp over here? That's obviously a thing, but I think I would have never be able to get something with this character, because compare this with the stamping, it's something completely different, I would say. Okay, I think now I need a little break because I'm just so glad that it is what it is now. Even if it turned out a little bit stiff here and there, but here on the edge I don't care because we will probably only need what's here in the middle or in the center, and we can then use the other pieces for something else. I think this is okay. It's thicker than it would be in my dreams. Do you know what I mean? But if I add water here, especially here where I have glued it a second time to the piece, the gel medium keeps getting slimy and it wants to come off completely. So I will live with this. I have absolutely no idea why it is so cool here, and here it's such a mess. But it is what it is, and we will manage to make something cool out of this. It's the next day. And I think sleep is not so good for me because I want to do 2 more things on this fabric which really, really scare the hell out of me. Is that English? First of all, let's take an alphabet stamp set. This is called Warn Text CMS 156. And let's try. Oh no. This is a really stupid plan because I need to stamp that separately. It already starts really, really interesting. Poppy Field Avenue has obviously more than one P. So let's try something. Let's try archival ink. Ground espresso again, because I want that here are some more really bold letters. Related to the title of the journal, to the paper collection and everything. Pretty cool. I'm just trying to decide how brave I am today. E-T-T-I-S. I'm trying to decide how brave I am and if I want to introduce another color, which would be black, and stamped with the small letters from this set. And I'm thinking about send me letters from over this, so that it then says send me letters from Poppy Field Avenue.
Send me letters from Poppy Field Avenue. Time-worn secrets, telling tales we knew were true. Wrapped in coffee and cinnamon air, the ceremonies we used to share. Every line a whisper, a memory to renew. Send them to me.
I really like this. Here, I mean, the problem is I don't know which portion of this I will use for the cover later. I have no idea yet which portion will be on the cover, and we know that this is way bigger than the cover is. But if I choose, for example, this portion here later for some reason, then here is nothing, and that is a little bit weird. So I want to stamp my favorite line from the song, which is wrapped in coffee and cinnamon air. Yes, cinnamon, not cinnamon, because a cinnabon is a cinnamon bun. You know what I mean? That is really cool. Okay. Here it's also pretty empty. We could do another black line like so. What about the cobblestones remember us? That is very wonderful. Okay, so then we're going to put these aside. Let's then take a look at this. I think that looks really cool. And shall we now do what I thought for the second thing we could do here now? Shall we do that, or is it too dangerous? Because I thought, wouldn't it be cool if she was on our front cover? That would be absolutely cool. These colors here, perfection with this. Also here the vintage photo and this color fits really well together. This is nearly vintage photo here from the paint, I would say. But since we had the catastrophe with the letter here, I'm really afraid. Shall I do it or not? I mean, now I know how to make such a fabric, right? And if it would be a second catastrophe like with this, we would have at least learned something. Let's do it. What we definitely need is, if we want to have it like so later, a print which is mirrored, because I want to glue it to the fabric like so and then reveal the face. So I have learned from ChatGPT that if we use this, we need to take a very thin layer of this medium. ChatGPT had the opinion that we've used too much of the gel medium for the letter, for gluing the letter, you know, what we did in the other step. And it said that because of that, it could have happened that this has turned sticky again. And it also said we need to, I'm so sorry, we need to let that dry for a longer time. So what I want to do is, I want to put a really thin layer of this on here, even if I, to be honest, have absolutely no idea what a thin layer is when it comes to working with this medium, but I'm assuming that this should be good. And then I'm going to glue the paper on here, and then it said it could also be that it was not 100% dry when we removed the letter. And what we also already thought is that we used too much water. And I also don't know if it makes a difference which paper you use. This is matte photo paper, but I don't know if that makes a difference. If you use, for example, copy paper, or, you know, this paper or whatever. Okay, so it's not coming through here. That probably means that it's a thin layer, doesn't it? Okay, it's a while later and this feels completely dry. I don't know how it could be more dry. Okay, that already feels different. That is good. Look, I think that was also a thing where I thought that was probably a big mistake with the letters. When this is dry, I think you can feel that it is dry when you do it like this, and it's, you know, this stays here, so that we can then remove the rest of that with the water. But if it doesn't do that, I think that could be a problem. And then it could be an indicator for that it's not dry enough. Oh no, we will lose her eye here. Okay, that is a massive problem. Yeah, can you see when this, oh my goodness. Keep calm, Luise. Keep calm. You will find a solution for this. And the solution is, holy why? Why? I mean, I thought that 2 dead phones are enough for such a thing. Why? Why is this happening? So let's try to glue this on here. This was probably then not enough of the glue here. Then we need to let this dry again. I think it's dry. Okay. Seems to be dry. I mean, I can't peel it off. So then, water. And ChatGPT said not too much water. What does that mean? What is not too much water? Okay. It's coming off. It's coming off completely. Can you see that? Here not. Oh. Oh. Here, okay, we can see her lips. Oh, yes, yes, yes. Okay, here's her nose. I have the feeling once I have a little starting point, I can roll the paper off somehow, but at the same time I have the feeling it needs it needs to be like soaked or so. And because of that I really don't know what that shall mean, not too much water, because I mean we need the water to remove this, right? But it also might be a problem that we have different mediums under here, because we have, oh yes, the eye, we have the acrylic paint, and then the paper material from the letter, and I have the feeling that this transfer technique reacts different on the different surfaces. But if I could get, I mean, this is even cool. Here I can see the print is coming off, but if I can get her second eye, oh yes, then that would already make me really happy, because the rest around it, if that gets a little abstract, I think that is not such a big problem. It turns white here again, and that probably means there is still a layer of paper on the actual ink we want to reveal here.
Letters from Poppyfield Avenue. The cobblestones remember us, though now they hum alone. I keep your words inside my coat, the corners worn and frayed. My footsteps lost beneath the haze of the silver moon. But your love in those words will never fade. Send me letters.
But this also shows that my videos are really beginner friendly. Don't you think? Because if I can get something like this, and you consider yourself a beginner, even if I really don't like that word in combination with junk journaling, then you can do that as well. Because what have I done here now? I had an idea. I tried it out. I never did something like this before. So what am I then in this moment? I'm a beginner with this technique. And I'm absolutely happy. Even if I don't know yet how this will look when it's dry or on the cover, I am absolutely happy that I did this, because now I know that I can think about if I want to do this again, or perhaps I want to practice this off camera on other fabrics. Perhaps we could also try another medium to transfer this, but oh no, I can see that I like this result, and that this is something which could become my jam or so. Do you know what I mean? So now when I take my heat tool and dry this, I'm assuming that it will turn white again. I will dry this off camera to not risk that I overheat my phone again. If you follow this already, you know two of my phones died, and I'm assuming because of the heat of my heat tool, and I don't want to risk that again. But we get something like this, and it's not even completely dry. Oh no. And I will try to carefully remove the rest of the paper here. I think I need to do that again. Add more water and try to remove more, because here I can see it's getting the color it should have, the intensity it should have. It is not getting better, so what shall we do now? We need something. I'm wondering what would happen if we would either put a layer of this on here, if it then would get translucent, or what could the solution for this be? I can see that it's getting better here, but I have the feeling the more I do that, the more I remove from the print. Here I have these holes, and the danger is when I get close to those, I rub off even more of the image, and that seems to be so dangerous. We've already come so far. Why is this now so difficult? I will dry it a last time to see if it gets the same white as there, or if this has given us something. Not much. A little bit, but not much. Let's try it. I've put a lot on here because I was thinking I want to melt this to make it translucent, but it obviously also works like this. but I will heat it up as well to see if it's perhaps getting even more translucent. Yes. Stay like this, please. Please, please, please. Don't touch it. Don't touch it. This feels like a t-shirt now. This feels like paper, and this feels like, you know, a print on a t-shirt. Okay, I need a coffee now. I need a coffee now because this could be, at least for me, a revolution. Okay, so it's a few voicemails with Barbara at 49 Dragonflies later. And somehow, with this on it, with this stuff here, it's also not so stiff anymore, but perhaps that is also only in my mind. What I know is that we definitely need another of these. And please don't mix this up, the words I mean, with embossing glaze. This is called Distress Micro Glaze. Yeah, this is not the embossing glaze. And I say that so aggressively, see, because there have been confusions in the past. This is like Vaseline, somehow, the consistency. And please don't mix the words up. It's not embossing glaze. I think this is a good solution. Even if I already realized that some of my next steps, which I already had in my mind, will get a challenge as well. But this seems to be the journal of challenges. Even if it is not a journal yet. Okay. Can I please have my signatures for a second? Then the next question will probably be, will we change our mind and turn this into a soft cover? Because originally I thought I wanted to make a hard cover again and not a soft cover. I will decide that later without you. So, is this finished now? I think so. So, I'm really hoping that you want to try this out, because I think even if it was a little bit like a pain sometimes, it turned out really cool. And perhaps you want to try this with your own stamps and your own materials you have. So see you the next time when we are going to make a cover for the Poppyfield Avenue journal with the help of this fabric and either some cardboard to make a hard cover, or perhaps I will change my mind and it will become a soft cover. But I have to think about that now, since I see this, and I have to, feel it a little bit and play around with it, and then I will decide that, and you will see that then in the next video. Have a very great and creative day. Bye. Oh, I'm just realizing, if you have seen the paper premiere, then you already know if it is a hardcover or a soft cover. So if you have not seen the paper premiere, and if you want to know what we are going to make, go to the playlist and watch the paper premiere video, because there you can see it if it's a hardcover or not. Bye.